What up, booktubulars? I am attempting to find a literary reply to the recent events here in Bangkok with the earthquake. And there are many things to which one can turn in times such as these, such as Boetius's Consolations of Philosophy. Going to stick more to the realm of fiction that I love, and especially in my case, of course, having studied French literature, and one that most of you will have been familiar with, so hopefully I'm not being too obscure for once. I was put in mind of Voltaire's Candide. Why? What on earth made me think of Voltaire's Candide? Well, one of the big problems that a lot of the literature, Enlightenment literature of France was attempting to respond to with the philosophes Diderot, Voltaire, Montesquieu, etc., etc., Rousseau, in his own inimitable way, was this problem of, I guess sometimes it's called the problem of evil. It's to do with the problem of why bad things happen to good people in the world. How can there be a totally just God, totally powerful God, and yet there be horrible events such as the Lisbon earthquake? So there had been a horrible earthquake that pretty much destroyed Lisbon, and this caused a lot of philosophical pondering, to which Voltaire's Candide is one famous reply. Obviously, it didn't seem like the best of all possible worlds to Voltaire, a world in which a city full of innocence can be wiped off the planet, seemingly senselessly. I won't attempt to solve that problem today, as greater minds than mine, like Diderot, Voltaire, Rousseau, etc., could not solve it. Indeed, this has been a problem since, Sodom and Gomorrah, since any mass tragedy. Indeed, I took, for when I did Katrina relief, took the Red Cross training in mass care, and I still don't have the answers for you. Voltaire's answer seems to be, well, cultivate your garden. Today I want to talk a little bit about the anti-hero. I developed this paper in undergrad, so it might be lacking in a certain depth or maturity, and of course it's obscured by 30 years now of memory. But my take on the anti-hero was to try to figure out what constitutes an anti-hero. In the case of Candide, as indeed he's often characterized as an anti-hero. And because there's so much confusion about anti-heroes in literature to this day, does an anti-hero have to be villainous to some extent, or at least morally sort of gray? This would not be the case of Candide, who's basically an innocent, a naif. Does an anti-hero mean that they do not come to a heroic conclusion? They don't have a happy, triumphant ending. One can decide for oneself whether one thinks the ending of Candide, where he decides to cultivate his garden, is a happy ending or not. I think it is. Perhaps not as triumphant as one would like, but maybe that's the point. My take as an undergrad at that time was that what made one an anti-hero was that one was not the driver of one's own fate. one had an exterior locus of control. One, what are some other ways to put this? One was not heroic in that one was not taking actions that set the conditions of one's own path, the hero path, say, and that, and possibly also that of others. And I think this is really the case in Candide. So I developed the case of an anti-hero as one whose fate is driven not by him, but by the secondary characters in this case, or other circumstances. Could be maybe a Deus Ex Machina, or the overly strong hand of the author coming in and flicking his character around. Could be many people driving his fate, or he's just driven by the antagonist pushing him around. But my paper was all about the secondary characters of, probably that was the assigned topic, secondary characters of Candide. So therefore, of course, I focused on the secondary characters. And indeed, they do seem to be deciding Candide's fate. Of course, I won't recall all of them now anymore, just a few of the most important. We got Cunégonde, right, his beloved. She, I'm not doing a feminist revisiting of this. She drives his fate in a few ways. It's his affair with her that gets him kicked out of the castle, right? This is not the heroes accepting the call to quest. This is the hero being kicked out of the castle and set on the road by Cunégonde's dad. Some German name, I believe, was hyphenated and very long. And let's see. Oh, and of course, especially by Pangloss, and I'll end with him. Pangloss, you may recall, was and I hope I've remembered his name correctly, the philosopher who accompanies Candide through most of his journeys, and who is constantly saying that, all is for the best, in the best of possible worlds, as his nose falls off from syphilis, as he's drawn, quartered, burned, drowned. I forget all the different ways in which he suffers, but never loses that enthusiasm for his philosophy that all is for the best and the best of possible worlds. And Pangloss is, sort of Aristotle to Alexander the Great, but in an anti-hero wise. He's the Merlin to King Arthur in the anti-hero wise, in that, he drives, he keeps Candide trudging optimistically on into earthquakes, into fires, into floods. And so it could seem that it's God and the natural world that is messing with them. But it's Pangloss's philosophy that keeps them going and is really the driver of Candide. So there's just a slight response or reflection upon the whims of fate and the ways in which we can react to them. Perhaps it's not a heroic response to the hurricane. I almost said the earthquake here, but I think that in a way, keeping going, from tragedy to tragedy is very heroic, and really cultivating your garden is very heroic, because to plant a seed is to believe that, and it's hard work. You must water and weed, and trust me, I've done very little field work, but the little I've done I can promise you, the people growing our food, without whom we do not live, they are heroes. So cultivating our garden is, in my view, a heroic response to such moments such as these.